You can make easily, I don't know, between
Then you can have a big salary.
Of course, they let you overwork. That is a problem.
Well, because of that, because of people not controlling exactly if you spend 8 hours per day in the company.
So the tax regime for expats is a wonderful thing.
To work here, there are certain things you need to accept.
I'm sure you can live with much less. A lot of people live with much less, but if you want to live like comfortable.
I'm in the information technology area. I'm an operations manager with one of the pharmaceuticals here.
I'm a real estate agent, mainly focusing luxury apartments and rent apartments to expats, because I don't see renting to local people because the apartments are expensive.
I have the good luck to work for a great international company. What we are providing are marketing services and agency services. However, I don't work with the customer, but internally. Started in finance, moved on to tech, and then now looking after the whole tech landscape in the UK.
Right now, I'm starting in a new job, starting in next week. It would be more like a customer service related, sales oriented, but I also do marketing. I do digital marketing, so I have a project going there as well. So I do many different things.
I'm a software developer. Like right now I'm working on making apps for phones, for Android phones.
And you work for a Spanish local company or for an international company?
For a local Spanish company, a local startup.
I work in education and I work as a coach. My company sells programs abroad for everyone, but mostly we have teenagers who go one semester to Canada, USA, England, and Ireland. I do the part of support, the well-being. Also, I do other things, but that's mostly the job I do. Then it's about support, coach, and well-being of the students who are abroad.
I studied translation and interpreting. I used to work as a private teacher to be able to pay for my studies. After that, I worked as a project manager in a translation company and as a translator, as a freelance translator. And then I also worked as a public teacher. That's one of the jobs I have at the moment. And on the other hand, I have my private project, which is called Bamboleo Talk. And it's a startup based on learning languages online.
As a secondary school teacher, what would you say is an estimated salary?
Netto, like 2K a month, something like that. It's really difficult to say. It depends, I guess, on your seniority, how lucky you are, how well you negotiated, but I guess anywhere 60, 80 plus a year, yeah. But then there can be huge differences. Like it can be a lot more, it can be less. I guess it really depends, like your seniority, your work experience, your company, what are the benefits you get. So yeah.
Mostly if a person wants to enter in a company like that, will be maybe 25,000 to 30th. That would be more or less the average. You can maybe achieve a little bit more, but that is like if you have been working there more time or you have something very specific. Of course, if you are IT, I know here they make a lot of money. And some other professions, for example, if you are selling houses and you sell a lot of houses, you are getting a lot of money because it depends of the amount that you sell. Also know some people who are also selling programs. Planeta Agostini, the like a Spanish enterprise, and they are selling a lot. That they have a quantity per sell, then you can have a big salary. But normally, if you check a random job, even with your degree and master's degree and different languages that you can talk, more than 25,000 per year, that's not common.
As a software developer, do you have a typical range of salary of what people can expect to earn if they work in Spain?
Yes, well, in Spain in general, I don't know, but
Or in Barcelona?
yeah, in Barcelona, since Barcelona is more expensive, I would say that like minimum 35k per year
Before
gross.
taxes, a gross.
Yeah, before taxes, minimum.
Minimum.
Yeah, like less than that, it's not enough to live very comfortably.
It depends on experience. Some people are there. I know even quite a good number of friends back in India. They think that you get atrocious salaries like 200k, 300k euros. No, that doesn't happen.
What is realistic, would you say?
I mean, for anywhere between. I'm sorry to give this such a big range, but anywhere between 60 to 120k is a pretty decent one.
Depending on experience.
Well, depending on experience. That's why,
We
exactly.
just started out probably
Yeah,
60k.
yeah,
If you
correct.
experience it, you can
Right.
go up to 100k.
Yeah, you'll reach 100k with sufficient bit of experience. You'll reach 100k. Yeah, this is before taxes, right? Before taxes. So the tax regime for expats is a wonderful thing. There's something known as Beckham's law, which is what I would like if you are coming here on work, I would like you to explore that. Read about Beckham's law. It's going to help you a lot. And you have to do all what you have to do within the first 6 months of you entering here. So if, my friend, you're planning to come over to Spain, read about Beckham's law even before you leave the shores of your country. And that's a pretty big thing, huh? By the way.
Yeah, it
That's a
makes-
pretty
it makes
big thing.
difference,
Makes a sufficiently large difference.
Yeah.
As a real estate agent,
Yeah.
how much could somebody expect to earn here?
You go on commission. I have to say that it's a job. I had the experience that I've been dealing with expats or foreign people for many years. I didn't study anything, to be honest. It's just about communicating with people. Yeah, but if you're doing well, yeah, you can make a lot of money. I don't know. When people arrive from summer, for example, the busiest time of the year, what is September, the massive landed of wealthy students coming to study business, and they've been recommended to live in very central areas like this one, the Golden Quarter in Eixample. They want to live in top and safe areas. You can make easily, I don't know, between 5,000 and 10,000 euro.
5,000 euros a month.
Yeah, on good season. But if there's no people coming, you don't make money at all.
And on those 5,000 euros, you still have to pay taxes.
And then you pay a lot of taxes. And then yeah.
And in your profession, what would you say is the typical range of salary? How much can somebody expect to earn?
Well, I have been working in different places, so different offices. So it depends. Some offices are very depending on the language. You get a bonus for your language. So you can earn at least up to like 2,000 euros. Up to, that would be before paying taxes. Or other, maybe if you work for web help, I think they offer maybe 1,500 euros maybe before pay taxes, or 1,600 before pay taxes. So you can choose. You can choose working maybe have a working environment that's very good, very nice, but the salary isn't the best, or have a very good salary but the work environment is not the best. But I think there are many opportunities. Maybe there are many opportunities I don't even know about. Yeah.
And in terms of cost of living, how would you say somebody would need to have a month in order to live comfortably with rent and whatnot?
All right.
For a simple lifestyle.
So I'm not including things like clubbing, partying, etc. into it. Housing is going to be your biggest cost. So if you're okay to share a house, etc. I mean, it all depends upon the age that you're in, right? A 46-year-old, I would be pretty apprehensive about sharing a house with a 25-year-old. It is what it is. So I stay alone. I have a one-bedroom apartment and I'm comfortable with that because I need my space. Pretty decent living, eating out a couple of times in a week, going out on hikes, etc. Everything would, You generally look at around 1,700 to 2,000 euros per month.
I guess if you look at rent plus going out, if you have a modest life, oh dear, I'm leaning out of the window. I don't know, 2,000 something.
Okay.
Well, but that means like that you actually live in something livable and that you go out a bit or maybe you travel here and there. Yeah.
You're not struggling or getting just by or something.
Exactly,
It's
that
a-
you
it's a
can
decent
that you
lifestyle.
can live comfortably. I'm sure you can live with much less. A lot of people live with much less, but if you want to live like comfortably without having to worry too much.
I will say that of 1,200, that will be the minimum. But I have to say that there are a lot of realities, because I know a lot of people from the acro yoga who are living in free houses in community, and they share things, and then these people live in a different life because they spend not that much. I bring food, I bring this, and they exchange, and they spend their life doing what they love. They are always different ways of living. But yes, if you want to do the kind of like normal way of living, yes, you have to see. If you want to rent the apartment on your own, you will need much more money. If you are going to share an apartment with other two people, maybe you will pay 600, 700 per room per month, plus internet and amenities. I have been looking for apartments lately, and I will say that less than 900 is difficult to find an apartment.
In my case, when like before I had a place for myself, when I was sharing an apartment, like I was paying more or less 550 for the room in the shared apartment, and I was spending an average of 1,000 euros per month, like including rent, shopping, food, going out once, twice a week. 1,000 euros would be like a good average.
If you share a room.
Yes, but if you want to live by yourself and if you rent an apartment, it's much more than that. Like 1,000. In most cases, it will be barely enough to cover the rent of the apartment. So if you want to live by yourself in Barcelona, I would say that minimum 1,500 euros per month to live more or less comfortably.
If you want to find something acceptable, something reasonable, it is necessary that you bear in mind that 1K is necessary to rent a flat these days, to rent an apartment. Of course, you can find things for less, for sure, but it will be like 30 square meters, like a loft with 30 square meters, and it will be like 700 euros or 800 euros or even more, depending on the area. Of course, the area is also really important, but if you want to live close to Barcelona, like let's say the outskirts, 700, that's the minimum that I would say is necessary to live close to Barcelona. To live in the center of Barcelona, I would say 1,000 euros, yeah.
And then with other expenses, what would you be your estimation? Food and
For food.
all of that together?
That got expensive too. 60 euros a week minimum per person.
For a room, 800 euros. So maybe, I mean, if you have a salary of like 2,000 euros a month before taxes, then you're all good. You're all good. And even though if you have a salary of 1,500 euros a month, you're also good, because I think that's the average maybe. But then again, you can also find rent rooms. It might be nice, but it's not too expensive. So then you have to look for different regions, or not regions, but different places. Like in Raval, it's more cheaper to live there. I was very lucky where I live now, because where I live now, normally I think the prices go up. I live in Montjuic, but I was very happy, or very lucky. I got to know a person who's renting out for a very, very low price. So I rented 2 rooms from him. So I have my office and my own place. And I only share with just one person. and that was I was very lucky there, you know.
Me, I got a certain age where I'm looking for quality life. I cannot live in a tiny apartment. Okay, so that's why people at certain age they don't live in Barcelona. Barcelona is surrounded. Barcelona, I think it got 4.5 million people. The area of Barcelona, but Barcelona city 1.5, and the rest live in surrounding Barcelona, the shitty areas, the dodgy areas, and the residential areas when you can have a fantastic life. I believe that you have to make over 2,000 to have a kind of decent. If you net, yeah. I know that many people they're young and they share, and because they share, they can go clubbing, they go to restaurants. But as soon as you go responsibilities, or for example, you got kids, or you have to pay the whole apartment, definitely you think about it, and you don't want to live in Barcelona. So there's many areas surrounding Barcelona that they're very good. By the beach, Casa de Fels, Gavamar, and then you can go opposite, where you can go to Premià. I'm talking about with easy access to Barcelona. In Barcelona, you got the hills, Tibidabo, beautiful. Behind Tibidabo, there is a valley where people live in houses, people they have a pool. The quality of is super safe, is super green. Is when you have a dog, you have a cat, you got two cars, and you got 3 kids. It's when people live there and they got very high quality life there. Places like Sant Cugat, Bellaterra, Valdoreig, Vallvidrera, people they live a good life. And how they come to Barcelona? Very well communicated by a train called FGC, Catalan trains. In 25 minutes, you're in Plaza Catalunya.
How would you describe the work life here in terms of atmosphere, work-life balance, whatever comes to your mind?
I think there's a good balance between, work balance, leisure, and private time for oneself.
So companies don't really let you overwork.
No, that's not true. That's not what I meant. Sorry. Of course, they let you overwork. That is a problem. And also the fact that Barcelona, as I said, is a very international city. So what happens is that companies make the most of that because you find good workers here, but the salaries are not as good as in Denmark, for example. So you pay your workers less for the same work. So of course it is interesting for companies to have a headquarters in Barcelona, and especially if they do overtime, because it's culturally accepted here, or nobody rebels against this. So it's a win-win operation for employers, I think. Unfortunately.
And how would you describe the work life here?
Well, in here I've only had the experience of working in one company, and in Portugal I also only worked for one company. But if I want to describe the differences, I would say that in here, it's more relaxed. Like people are not seeing if you are in the office 8 hours per day. No, they do not want to control it. They rely on you. They trust in your ability to manage your time, and they just check if you do your job or if you don't do your job.
And what about work-life balance? How would you say that is?
Well, because of people not controlling exactly if you spend 8 hours per day in the company, you can, for example, spend 7 hours, but do as much work as you can. And then, that extra hour that you gained, you can, go home earlier, go do some things that you needed to do, like clean the house or go shopping. Yeah, the difference in not controlling as much makes for a better work-life balance, in my opinion.
So I think it really depends on the company that you're working for. If it is an international company, then also from which country, because the company culture might swing in, whether it's an American company or a company from the Netherlands or whatever it may be. In my case, I have the great luck that the company I'm working here for, we are a very colorful mix of people and nationalities. The atmosphere is very casual in the offices. We have beautiful offices, lots of activities for the younger crowd, and there is very little hierarchies, so it's quite typical open door, you know. If you have a problem or if you don't feel good about something, you can go to your boss, or you can even go to your boss's boss if you don't feel comfortable to speak about it. So it's a very flat hierarchical structure, which I personally appreciate very much.
What in terms of work-life balance? How would you describe that?
It depends. With my job, I have to admit that I sometimes struggle to get the mix right, but I have to say that I really like my job. I'm very passionate about it. So yes, there will be a tendency to work too long hours, but I don't feel forced to do it, so I can't complain.
You have kind of a lot of options here in Barcelona, because a lot of companies are from other places. They are not only Catalan companies, and they share a community with the rest of us. Then you have several options. And of course, like the way of Spanish companies and the way of other country companies are different, right? Like the schedule in Spain is different. We still have a schedule that is not as flexible as other places, and we work a long time. This is very traditional here. Some of them are changing, are adapting, but others not. And here, yes, some of them are learning also because we are with internet and everything. And then some of them are doing team buildings or more after-work activities and how to get the best of every worker. But this is kind of new, because before it was more traditional. It was more about work. And also here, people are not very happy about the salaries. Yeah, salaries is not a good thing here in Spain. The best salaries you can get here in Catalonia is because you work for a company that is not Catalan. Then yes, the best salaries are maybe American company who have a branch here, or German, or other places. Then they get the best salaries.
Been pretty good so far. I have worked with European. In my 22 years of career, I've worked with a lot of nationalities. Europeans are pretty comfortable to work with, at least from my point of view. Pretty open, and the workplace which I work, I'm very comfortable there. Work-life balance is very, very good. Very good. Typical European culture. So as long as you do your work, nobody is going to be bothered whether you're in the office for 8 hours. What are you doing after that? Nobody calls you too late in the night. Don't expect you to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to attend a conference call.
This can happen in India though, right?
It has subsidized quite a bit, but yes, in my younger days, I've done that quite a lot. As far as my colleagues, etc., are concerned, it is a very international organization. So, as I said, there are a good number of Spanish people, but then it's pretty limited. Most of the business happens in English, so it's very comfortable. Nothing to sweat about, basically. As long as you know your job, you do your job diligently. It's all okay. So from a overall perspective, I think in the IT industry, despite all the downtrend, etc., it's a comfortable space to be in if you know your work.
How would you say are hierarchies here?
The hierarchies are not bad. I would say that it's pretty flat structure, at least in the organization that I work in.
Yeah, work life. I don't know. It kind of depends. You have many opportunities, I think. But it's for me, how I experienced was a system like when I worked in an office. Like for example, in one office, I didn't get paid what I was supposed to get paid. I was promised many things, and suddenly when the day for salary comes, yeah, let's put it like this: I had to argue with the HR for at least 2 months before I got what I was supposed to have. It was not the easiest, and it's very like micromanaging. I don't like that too much, but let's put it like this: that to work here, there are certain things you need to accept if you really want to keep the position that you have, or that you gain enough knowledge, get contacts, so in that way that you can maybe build something on your own.
Based on this, how would you say is the work-life balance here?
Well, it's stable. I mean, it depends on, it can be stable or not stable. Some people have had the job here for 8 years in the same company and accepted a lot of things that I would never accept just after a few months. So it really depends. But if you want to find one place, settle down with just that one place, that one job, you can do it, but you have to accept certain things. And if you are very like free soul, free spirit minded, then I think you have to look all the opportunities you can find and see what you can actually do for yourself. So, the opportunity is to meet other people, talk with people, and maybe build something with someone. Yeah.
I would advise to people who come to Barcelona, definitely there's two different ways. People who come here for an opportunity. Spain, unfortunately, is a place that they don't give you much opportunities. I will have to complain a bit about the culture. I was living for 25 years in another country where constantly, I was in London, for example, where constantly they give you opportunities. You work in a company, they make you an offer, you leave, you move into another one, maybe you fail and you try again and you go from one day to another. The dream of Spanish people is to work for a company and stay forever. I find that shocking. Okay, they want to stay in a company and they don't want to. Not everyone. I don't want to generalize, but what I see, and that's the way it is. You stay in a company, you stay there forever, and no much effort to improve. Obviously, depending what job, you know. It was a time that I work in hospitality, and I was a wedding planner in London, and I had the opportunity to work here in hospitality in restaurants. And I meet people that they're 50 something, they work as a waiter and they don't have any plans to improve, to become a manager or something. It's like, man, come on. Maybe it's the Spanish culture, or maybe it's the system. I don't know if I have to blame the system or the workers, but they don't want to improve. What happened? Many Spanish people that they want to improve, they emigrate to other countries to get a better or solid profession, job, you know. Another thing is someone who come here and already got a good job, digital nomads. You got a good job at your country, you got a good salary in your country, and you're moving to a location because you want to have the experience to live in another country, and because you want to enjoy the weather and the beach. Amazing. Okay, because you can afford a good apartment, you can afford to go for restaurants, you can go because of the location. I mean, talking about see someone come from outside Europe. Everyone who comes from America, from Asia, from whatever, they find themselves that Europe, you're in Barcelona, you take a plane and you're in London, you're in Berlin, you're in Amsterdam, and it's like, this is amazing. To live in Europe and Western Europe is an amazing location. You can do loads of things. And if you got a good job, fantastic.